looks like a
Alright, I'm gonna
Wii thing.
kind of start it off. So, I want you guys to each tell us why you are the best candidate to be our mayor. And we're gonna start with you.
Ooh, I gotta start. Alright, hi everyone. Hopefully you can hear me through this microphone.
You might want to speak up because last time they complained that.
That it was too quiet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Alright, I'm Duncan Searcy, but everybody calls me DJ, so if you see me out on the street, please call me DJ. I might not answer to Duncan because I've been DJ since I was a baby. The reason I decided to run for mayor is just because I'm fed up at every level of politics, and there's a certain point when you gotta stop complaining and get involved. So I'm not thrilled with anything that I've seen at the national level the last, I don't know, for forever, since I've been paying attention to politics. I'm not impressed with our state level leadership, and then obviously I'm not super happy with our city level leadership, or else I wouldn't be running against them. So my platform is just a platform of common sense, integrity, getting back to the basics, and infrastructure is going to be my #1 priority. I'm a citizen first, and there's a lot of things that I'm fed up with that I talk to my friends about, and everybody that I talk to, we're all fed up with the same things. And so I just want to kind of recage us to the basics and get those things figured out. One thing that makes me attractive as a candidate is I believe that I have integrity. I have a long history of standing up to injustices, and so that's kind of my promise to you. I'll give you a short example. Somebody reached out to me this morning. They gave me a call on the phone. They said, "Oh, I'm going to ask you a question tonight at the meeting." And I was like, "Great, please do." And they said,
it's not on Facebook, but that's why I figured to have your computer hit them with Facebook.
I can just do my phone. I'll put it on.
I think he's wondering if it's still going.
"Good."
Yeah, keep going.
So anyways, they started to, they were like, "Okay, so here's the question I'm going to ask you." And I was like, whoa. You do not know me if you're going to try and, preload me with a question. I understand that I'm very naive and people are going to ask me hard questions and I might not be able to answer them. It may be the first time I've even thought about it. But I don't want to be that type of person. I'm running as a public servant. I'm trying to change the way that we do things. I'm not going to be a politician. I'm going to be honest. So that's my promise to you guys, and I will turn it over to Melissa.
Awesome. Thank you, first of all, Megan and Angeline, for getting this started and inviting all these people, and we're grateful that you guys took time out of your busy night to come. I really appreciate it. I'm Melissa Clark, and you're going to have a recurring theme of, I started as the person that used to complain on Facebook maybe 10, 12 years ago, and I remember complaining about a certain park that was being built because there were a bunch of parks that weren't finished. And I remember complaining about traffic, and I would tag all my elected officials. So I'm literally the person that gives me a hard time every day on Facebook. I did that. But one day I was out running errands as a mom, and I got a phone call, and I answered it, and the person on the other line said, "Hello, Melissa, this is Chris Pengera. I know that you're kind of upset about some stuff that's going on. Can I take a few minutes of your time to explain to you why we're doing it the way we're doing it, where the money's come from, all of those things." And it was a really neat conversation because it helped me learn two things. One, there's always more to the story. I think a lot of times as people, we think that the people who are serving us haven't thought of everything, or they haven't studied it, or there's just so much more to it. And then the second thing that I learned was that there's real people behind these decisions. So the people who serve us in city council and in the county commission and in the state and the federal, they're all real people. And the only thing that really separates us, the complainers, from the people who are serving is information a lot of times. So fast forward to me running for city council in 2017, and I served a term on city council, and I'm on my second year of my second term, and I also got started because I wanted to help make some changes. Not just complain, but show up and do the work that needs to be done. And Eagle Mountain's kind of a crazy city. We do more in one meeting than most cities do in an entire year. So let me tell you a little bit about what my priorities are, and this is coming from talking to a lot of you. The most important thing for me right now is responsible growth and infrastructure planning, and making sure that we get the roads in that we need to get in, and that they're safe, and that we build the things that need to be here in our community to keep us safe and functioning. Sewer, water, storm drains, roads, all of it. And then the next thing that's really important to me is an economic vitality of our community, because the only way that we can pay for all of that infrastructure is if we have a healthy tax base. And I think it's way better to have a healthy tax base that comes from businesses who invest in our community, sales tax, those things, than to shoulder the whole burden of all of that infrastructure on moms and dads, people who are just trying to make it day to day. And then I believe that we need to create jobs here in our community. One of the big things for me is making sure that we have people here that can work here, and not everybody has to leave the city all at once. Accountability, communication, transparency are huge to me. Even when I get beat up on Facebook, I try to go and answer questions and help people understand where we're coming from and why we made the decision the way we did it. And another big thing is we need to protect what makes Eagle Mountain special. None of us moved here because we wanted to live in a cookie cutter version of every other city on the Wasatch Front. We moved here maybe because we could afford it, or because we loved the outdoors, or we liked the dark skies. Whatever that reason is, we need to fight to make sure that we protect it and keep it safe. So I hope to earn your vote. I'm excited to have your questions. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Perfect. So the question was, what makes us the best candidate? I'm still struggling with a voice that's not great. I will tell you, one of my slogans or catchphrases I have on some of my signs is less talk and more action. So I'm going to try to stick to that tonight and not talk as much. What makes me the best candidate is I have a proven track record of actually getting the work done. I go out, I had never complained on Facebook. I just went out and fixed the problem. So to me, that's what we need, is more action and more people that will just get a shovel and get in the trench, roll their sleeves up and get the work done. And I've been on council for 6 years. I was on planning commission for 2 years or 3 years before that. I served on almost every single board in the city, including cemetery, youth council, parks and rec, where we met, and every other board out there. And it's for me, it's about service. I'm really driven to serve. I was raised that way. My dad, I don't even know if he has a hobby to this day. He's 84 years old, and I think all he does is help other people. And that's an example I grew up with. That's what I choose to how I live my life, is just helping others and making the place around me a better place. So for me, I feel like I'm the best candidate because I'm just driven to serve, and it's not about me. It's not about any of that. I want to go out and make Eagle Mountain a better place. So that's the stuff that I'm about, and if you know me, you know what I do. So I'm sure we'll have questions about that later. I don't need to get into it now. And don't forget Donna.
Yep. Donna, do you want to?
Sure, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So first of all, I really want to thank Angeline and Megan for making this happen, because I put a real kink in things, because it doesn't look like it, but I'm at Disneyland. So, in fact, we almost didn't make it back to the hotel in time. So I appreciate you working that out for me. That means a lot to me. So I appreciate you giving me that time. I've been involved in Eagle Mountain since what I call the Wild Wild West days. I don't know how many of you remember, I know Jared does, when our mayor kidnapped himself. I lived in Eagle Mountain then. Or when another mayor stole money from the city. And at that point, I felt like a grown-up needed to run for city council. And so I chose to do that. And so did several other really amazing people. And Eagle Mountain, which used to be in the news for terribly embarrassing things, started to get in the news for good things. And things got turned around. So I served there for 2 terms, and then I took a break, and I didn't think I was going to come back. But some things led to me coming back, and so I ran again, and so I have experience. I have been with Eagle Mountain since the days when we were probably 10,000 people. I've gone through the horrors of people saying, "Oh, you're from Eagle Mountain," and then they laugh. And now, when people talk to me, "Oh, you're from Eagle Mountain? My kid so and so lives there. Do you know them?" And I'm like, "Well, there's like 75,000 of us, but maybe I might." So I've loved that. I love this city. I raised my kids here, and my son is raising my grandkids. My son and daughter-in-law are raising my grandkids here, and that means a lot to me. Some of the issues that are really important to me, transportation, obviously, our transportation network. This is something that all of us, every single member of the council, have worked hard on. It's a heavy lift, and we need those relationships with our legislators and with MAG and with the county in order to get it done, and with other cities, because we've got to work together. Another thing that that I really want to emphasize is jobs, not commutes. I'm going to be honest with you, we're never going to solve the transportation problems, and that's because of just basically the geography of the area. We cannot solve them. I mean, maybe we have DJ fly us all. That's that's about the only solution. And so we've got to have jobs here in Eagle Mountain, and they've got to be real jobs that can keep people here at home, and more businesses. The Chamber's done a great job. Kudos to Melissa for that in building up the businesses we have, and we need to get more of them to come here, because the more stores that are here, the more restaurants that are here, the less we're on the road going to Saratoga Springs and Lehigh, because that's where the traffic is the worst, is in Saratoga Springs and Lehigh. The other thing that's really important to me is protecting what makes us Eagle Mountain, because I moved here for that so many years ago. I've lived here almost 24 years, and we came for a reason, as many of you did, and I want to keep it that way. So protecting our trails, protecting our wildlife corridor, our ridge lines, all of those things are so important. Also, I believe in being collaborative in terms of government, and I think that for a long time, our residents have felt unheard, and I've asked, why can't we do more town hall meetings? Why can't we be more open to chatting with our residents in an informal setting where they feel more comfortable, instead of them having to come to city council and talk to us? And so, as your mayor, they can't tell me no. So we're going to do it. And and I'll have open office hours where people can come drop in and just talk to me about whatever they want to talk about. And I learned from Mayor Jackson and from Mayor Pengra that regular contact with the city council is critical, and it builds positive relationships, and we can get so much more done. So that's another thing that I would like to do. It's been a privilege for me to serve with Melissa and Jared and all the other council members. So thanks.
Okay, Tom, are you able to jump on so you can give your spiel?
I know he's been having some issues with the.
He's having technical issues.
Yeah.
So we might go on until he pops in. So first,
Could he just call someone's phone and just speakerphone it?
yeah, have
call
him.
him.
That way.
So you guys have 2 minutes to answer everything, and he's going to be your timer guy. And I'm also going to try to watch the comments here. So our first question we want to ask real fast, because it's here, is what plan do you have to lower water, electricity, and sewage
Hey,
costs?
Tom, right here.
Oh.
Hey, Tom.
We'll ask your question in a minute.
I don't know what that's all about. I could see and hear everybody, but you couldn't hear me. So.
That's okay. So we're just doing.
Do you want to put your phone by the computer so people can hear?
Yeah. So we're just speaking on platforms. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So we're just speaking on your platform and what makes you
You have 2 minutes.
the best candidate, I guess, to continue being the mayor.
Okay. All right. 2 minutes. Okay. Well, thank you for this time. Sorry I'm out of town, but just trying to balance a lot of things. I'm actually speaking to you from my grandson's bedroom, which I'm borrowing at the moment. So, but yeah, thanks for everything. It's been a huge honor to be the mayor of Eagle Mountain. It's really one of hardest jobs there is. Yeah, when I first started out on city council, I just showed up and asked how can I help, and so I've been.
1 minute.
That's all I've been doing ever since. It's just.
1 minute.
Oh, you're telling me 1 minute. Okay.
We'll get.
All right.
He's got some lag. We'll give him the break.
All right. So, yeah, Eagle Mountain is one of the busiest cities there is. I mean, we're on every issue. We're right in the middle of it. And as Donna mentioned, Eagle Mountain has a pretty bumpy history, but I'm really proud of the fact and really worked hard to bring respect to Eagle Mountain so that Eagle Mountain has a seat at the table, whether it's the county or the state or the federal government. So, and we've achieved that. So there's still a lot more work to do. We have energy issues. We have sewer we have to expand. We have water. We have roads. Just go down the list. And the exciting thing is now the state is listening to Eagle Mountain, and so much so that the state has managed to carve out about $1 billion for our area. It won't all go right in Eagle Mountain, but it guaranteed we will all drive on those roads. So those are coming. They're not coming nearly fast enough, but really proud of what we've been able to accomplish together, and there's still a lot of important work to do. So thank you.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're gonna ask this
I'll
question.
call you back if we.
Can I make a suggestion or offer something? There's like 50 or 60 people here, and I respect everybody that's online. I'm just kidding, by the way. I didn't count. But the people who showed up in person, I want to address their questions first because they were here.
Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't want to get too.
Do you guys all want to hear the water question, or do you guys want something?
That's fine.
Do you
I
wanna
just
ask
want to
the
make sure
question?
we respect those who came
Okay.
in person as opposed to the online.
All right, because of everything that happened this last Tuesday, there's a hot topic about water. The water cost was raised, but this one's also asking about electricity, sewage costs because they're breaking everyone's wallets in the city. So, Duncan, will you take that one first?
Sure. They didn't ask for my vote last night, but that's okay. I would have voted no. Because I'm dealing with the same issues that you guys are with the power bills, and everything adds up right now. So I read some of Brett's comments on Facebook earlier today, and I get that sometimes we get ourselves to a certain point where we have to stand up and make decisions that can be unpopular but might be the best for the community. But the criticisms that I'm bringing is that it's all happening at once. We could have done it a little better planning in the past, so that it's not so abrasive right now at the moment when people are hurting so bad. I get that we gotta, fill the gap that we have with the budget and the services and all that good stuff. But for us at a citizens level, we don't really care. Like, we see the change in our bill number and things are tough and it hurts, it really does. And so I think what I'm gonna advocate for is just better vision and planning in the future. Just kind of avoiding some of these drastic changes that we have to make to get ourselves back on track. I'd rather find permanent solutions than keep finding band-aids that we have to put on. And that's why I posted about sewage the other day.
Awesome, thank you. We feel that too. My husband Nathan and I, we have 4 kids and a son-in-law, and our bills are insane as well. So the decision to raise rates or adjust rates is deeply personal to us. We feel it too. They say the best time to plant a cherry tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time to plant a cherry tree is today. And we do need to be proactive and plan ahead. Our city didn't look at rates for years and years and years, and then said, "Whoa, we need to make sure we have enough money to be able to keep these funds going." So that for sure is something that we need to do, and we need to regularly visit that. Not just, oh, haven't we checked that lately? It really should be like every year, every 2 years, we're reevaluating the fund balance of what's going on with our sewer and our water. As far as electricity and just utilities in general, I'm a huge fan of the carrot versus the stick. I think it's better for government to offer solutions than to punish people. So I think it'd be really good if we could work with our local library and our different partners that, like USU, and have them teach classes on how to save water and how to be a little bit more savvy when it comes to electricity and help find ways to make things better. All of us remember when we were kids, there were campaigns where it was like slow the flow and turn things down, and I think that there's some value in that. There's a reason why we have programs like that. So helping each other learn a little bit more about how to be efficient. And frankly, what we need to do is take charge of our utilities. One of the problems that we've had is that we are just kind of subject and we catch whatever comes to us. So being proactive, leading, and with my project manager skills, I think that we can make some major changes and make it better.
Okay, so I agree that we're placed in positions that we have to make hard decisions. And there's no question that it's not taken lightly. I made sure to read some facts last night about what it actually is, the cost, to make sure that it wasn't blown out of proportion. That doesn't mean that I'm taking it lightly, but I want to point out exactly what it is, the raise in the water rates. Now, to focus on why, because it's irresponsible to not be honest and truthful about where we're at as a city. You also expect us as citizens to make sure that when you turn your tap on, water comes out. And that's our job to make sure that that happens. The opposite problem, if we're irresponsible and you turn it on, you'd be furious if you didn't have water. So yes, we're placed in very difficult situations to make these kind of things happen. And we have to make those with big shoulders and with integrity and honesty and say, I'm going to do the right thing. For instance, I mentioned this in an event last night, but the county hasn't raised taxes for over 20 years. And they're having a really hard time balancing the budget, but nobody wants that to fall on them. I want to present to you that I'm the guy that's not afraid of hard conversations. I'm not afraid of those hard questions. It doesn't make it fun. It doesn't make it easy, and I don't take it lightly. But I'm going to make sure that we can fix these kind of problems and that we can move forward in a responsible manner. But what I want to focus on as well, because I don't want to take lightly those who are on fixed incomes or seniors or others, is that we do have programs as well for those who are struggling to make their bills. No matter the amount, that if this is going to put you in hardship, make sure you come to the city and let us do our part to help you so that we can be responsible and make sure that we don't have problems in the future.
Donna?
Okay, sorry, I had to unmute myself. I think that, I hope that our residents realize that what a difficult decision it was, raising the rates. But there's a big reason for it. The biggest reason is that we've been running faster than we can manage for over 20 years. Trying to keep going on not enough staff, not enough people. Most of our staff are doing 2 or 3 jobs, and it's because we don't have a big tax base. And so that's why I'm emphasizing jobs, because we need that economic engine to help us to get the employees we need so that these things don't get so bad that we have to raise things so much. And so now we are looking at this every year. We're looking at our rates and saying, are we doing okay? Where are our numbers? Because in order to get the loans that we need, like for our sewer treatment plant, which is going to be outrageously expensive, we want to get a great interest rate. And the only way that we can do that is if we have at least 6 months of income in that fund. So that's the difficult reason that we had to raise our rates, and it's really hard. Some things that we can do to help, I think, are using the city's purchasing power to buy rain barrels, which will help with water use. Also, the smart sprinkler heads, those kinds of things that can help our residents save water. And by using the city to buy in bulk, I think that really helps. But
10 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm
10 seconds.
I'm good. That's good. Thanks.
10-second
call
cool down.
Tom.
The raise in utilities.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I missed some of that because for whatever reason I had to leave that session and rejoin for it to connect, so I missed most of that. So we're talking about the rates going up. We all know that like the price of everything is going up everywhere, inflation and for all kinds of reasons, and none of it is pleasant. I don't think stuff like this, you cut your way to wealth. This is the big answer, the really impactful answer is to strengthen our economy. So I spent a lot of time in Nevada. So I grew up in northern Nevada, spent some time in southern Nevada. In Nevada, there is no income tax. And the reason is because they have the hotels and casinos. Gaming makes up the difference in the state coffers for what typically income tax would cover.
1 minute.
Okay, I'll try to speed this up. In places like Alaska, they'll pay you to move there, right? So my point being is that we have a real opportunity to grow our economic development and solve our energy problems. If we can do that, then our residents won't have to. Eagle Mountain could be one of the wealthiest cities in the state, and our residents wouldn't have to even pay those bills. There would be other ways to make up for those. So not in a welfare type of situation, but just being able to eliminate some costs. So we can chase those costs all the time and chip away at them, and maybe that's helpful, but it doesn't solve them until we really create a very robust economy here. We've got about $20 billion of capital that wants to be invested in Eagle Mountain if we can solve the energy problem. So that's it all comes back to energy for me.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, anybody else have questions?
I'll call you back.
There's a hand back there.
Say it really loud or come closer to the computer.
So my name is Celeste and I'm in Social Security Rescue out here. It was started specifically because Utah County has the highest kill ratio of any shelter
You want to come
in
closer?
the state.
Yeah, close to the microphone.
As of April of this year, the shelter of northern Utah County kills 60% of the animals that go into it. It is far and above any other county besides southern Utah County. So my question is to you guys, what do you guys plan on doing about that? Because our county is what's holding back the state at getting a no-kill. There are only 2 other shelters besides Utah County that are no-kill. They're not no-kill, and they're
We'll let them do the next one.
1% less than no-kill.
Okay. I was going to answer Tom really fast too, use part of my time. I thought he was about to advocate for a casino in Eagle Mountain and I was about to endorse him, but then he went a different way with it, so I'm going to stay in the race. I'm not exactly sure if that's a mayor question. I don't know what the mayor can do in terms of, are you asking for like a city code against it, or I guess I just don't quite understand the direction of the question.
So the shelter is run on a coalition of all the cities. So
Okay.
the city council has an appointee and the mayor has an appointee that governs the board of the shelters. So each city has to decide what they do about it. You also have your own animal code. They can decide part of that and how to help it be no-kill. Best Friends has come in and offered different cities a grant to become no-kill within their own city, and almost every city has rejected that, including Eagle Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some different things that can happen for you guys.
Gotcha. Well, I do love animals, and I do believe that God gave us dominion over them, and it's a lot of these animals, it's our fault that they end up in those shelters, and it's a really sad situation, but not everybody, especially in this economy, has the means or the space to be able to adopt them, and it's just a really sad reality. I think maybe a better thing we could do is talk to our residents about, spaying and neutering what they do have, so these types of things don't happen, and then when people are looking for pets, advocate for adopting. But I'm also not going to sit here and lecture somebody that wants their purebred dog. You know what I mean? They want a specific dog. They've dreamed of it their whole life. And so anyway, I'd be supportive of helping however we can, but I can't say that that would be one of my priorities.
This question reminds me of Parks and Recreation, where April Ludgate helps find all the dogs new homes, because she writes like these killer bios for them that are like, this dog saved 3 people from a fire. So maybe that's an idea. But the reality of it is there are cities that are able to have no-kill shelters. I don't know all the facts and figures of the cost to make those things happen, but if there's best practices out there, we don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to caring for animals. But I do agree that we have a fiscal responsibility to our taxpayers. In each individual home, we don't know what's going on. We don't know if somebody's dealing with a kid who has type 1 diabetes and they have $1,300 a month in medical expenses, or if they've just lost a job or whatever. So the best thing government can do is try to let you keep as much money as possible. So that's like a governing principle for me. So when it comes to all programs, we need to balance the needs and desires of the community with what we should even be getting involved in. I think that there's probably a space for us to be able to adopt some of those best practices, especially when there's groups like Best Friends and other entities that are able to pull it off. There's no reason why we can't do that either. One thing that is interesting about how we have it set up right now is that within our city council has assignments where we have to go to boards and we need to report back and give kind of our liaison report. I think whoever from our city that is assigned to go to the shelter should be giving a report every time that there's a meeting and letting the council know what's going on. Because in all fairness, we're a little bit far removed from that decision. I don't know that I've ever had a report given to us in city council about what's going on at the shelter that we're voting for and doing things with. So, reports from our staff that go and attend those meetings, adopt best practices, and write some really killer bios.
Oh, perfect.
Right on.
Well done.
Yeah. So this is one of those questions that's kind of hard to differentiate, because I just say ditto. First of all, there's not a ton that can be done at the local level. We do have representation, and I think it's up to us to try to persuade our representation to take our wishes and to represent our people, I guess. I think the most important thing is making sure that we don't have pets running loose, but more importantly is spade and neutering. I think that's the number one thing, and it's super expensive. I have a dog that goes everywhere with me, and I've kept him, he's able to still produce, and so I'm not going to get into how that works, but you can use your imagination. But I don't let him out of my sight, and I make sure that he's taken care of. But I've thought about taking and neutering that dog, and it's super, super expensive. There used to be programs by the county, and most of those have been cut. So, it's hard to afford that for people who want to have pets, to take care of them properly. And I think my advocacy would be to help people be responsible with their pets, and to be able to make sure that we're trying to eliminate as many going to shelters as we can.
Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, my turn? Okay. I love Melissa's Parks and Rec reference. I think most people love that show. It's just funny. But anyway, I think that the city has been pretty good about, advertising when we have clinics that you can, bring your dog in or your cat and get it spayed or neutered, and we try and advertise that information. That does limit the number of animals that go into the shelters. And I will be honest, I've been asked this question before and I haven't found an answer to it. I am not sure why Utah County chooses to not do the no-kill shelter, because other counties do have no-kill shelters. So I think the first thing I would do is meet with my county commissioners and talk to them about it. Find out why we're doing it the way we're doing it. Is there a cost reason? Is it just it's important to know why before we decide to make a change, and then look at it and see, what we can do. Can we do it better? Can we be a voice? And we need to be a voice in the county. That's one of the things that I think has grown over the years, is our voice as Eagle Mountain. We can have an influence in the county. We're not the redheaded stepchild anymore. We have influence. We're the 4th largest city in Utah County, and so we need to use that power for good. But first of all, find out why, and then go from there to figure out what best practices would be. That's what I would do.
Great, thank you.
Okay. I don't know if Tom heard the question, so I tried to tell him.
Can you just ask him again? Just repeat the
Yeah,
question.
I texted to him.
Okay.
Okay, did you get the question about it?
The question about a no-kill shelter?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm understanding? Yeah. So, okay, just quickly, yeah, I'll agree. Like, certainly we need to start with, spay and neuter, certainly, and education. So, so I would like to encourage, this is an area that residents could really help out with, I believe. And especially, I think our youth have a role to play. So if we can increase, we can bump up our education, particularly with our youth, because I think youth get a lot out of working with animals and learning how to manage animals, whether they're domesticated or wild. We've got, I don't want to veer into what we're doing with wildlife, but certainly our youth need to be involved there, and that's where education ought to start. So I think we have some opportunities.
Awesome.
We're going to ask you the next question.
Tom, we're going to ask you the next question. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah.
I'm actually going to jump on what you just said, because that was my question about youth. I just moved here 3 months ago with my family. Obviously, most of us, we have kids, right? And the first thing I've noticed, there's a saddening amount of posts online from moms talking about their kids thinking about ending their life or running away from home.
Yeah.
And then I have these kids that come to my house. I'm the safest one corner now. They come to my house every night at 11 o'clock. And what do you guys do? Ding dong ditching. Why? You don't have anything to do. So I like the idea that you brought up with the animals, but does anybody else have any ideas of what to do with the youth that's obviously bored, obviously at risk? You should not be using our kids to suicide.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's, there are,
It's actually a big
honestly,
problem.
there's not going to be any,
So weird.
I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry, Tom.
Yeah, do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah,
Yep.
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, yeah, there's not going to be any one answer. It's going to take many answers to address that, because all of our families are different, all of our children are different, they all have different needs, different experiences. So I'll try to hit this. I'll probably be all over the place, but we need a variety of things to do. When we built Cory Wright Park, that was part of the mindset of going there, is we tried to build a park that was in all abilities as much as possible, so that it would have something for everyone to do, regardless of age or regardless of ability. So obviously, Cory Wright Park does not meet all needs, but we can continue to build on that. There's a program called Communities That Care that works with our school system and actually engages our youth and gives some of our youth, those that are prepared to take on the mantle, an opportunity to look for at-risk youth and look out for them. And I think that's a great program. But as you talked about things to do, that's something
30 seconds.
that we all need to work on together. And it's not going to happen overnight. But we've been adding parks and outdoor recreation. We have a development that has a whole outdoor recreation theme. So all of it's not here yet, but it's coming. But certainly your ideas and your participation, this is where residents can jump in and say, hey, I have an idea. How can we add this to what we do and really make Eagle Mountain a healthy place to grow up and a desirable place for people to come and do outdoor things and recreate and
Time's
really,
up.
Okay, I'm done then.
Classic skating. We need a classic skating.
Yeah.
All right, Donna, you want to go next?
Sure. I could not, I am unable to hear the questions, so I'm kind of guessing what the questions are based on other people's answers. So, was the question regarding
Things for the youth.
things for the youth
so
to
that
do?
Are
Why don't we just
active.
have her come up and ask it?
Yeah,
You
so
wanna
it was
come in and
about,
ask?
you know,
You guys are talking about places, and a place is just a place. Like we can build as many we can build as many rec centers and parks as we want, but it's not really gonna involve the kids. Again, we have kids at my house at 11:30 at night doing things that other neighbors are talking about, like we getting ding dong dished at night, and these kids are coming to my house and telling me we are bored. We have nobody guiding us. We have nobody. You know, like a place is a place. You can build as many parks as one, but it's not gonna help it. So what are you guys planning to do about getting these kids involved? As I said, the whole animal thing is a good thing, but a park is not going to prevent a kid from wanting to take their life. You know, a kid is not going to prevent them from doing all these things.
I am going to add, join the city youth council.
Okay.
We need more youth. Oh, come on, guys, join. Get your kids to join.
I had this 17-year-old, and she definitely has issues. Suicides. We don't have a lot. Yeah, there's just like a lot of violence. And there's a lot of cliques. And I feel like when I was a kid, it definitely wasn't as bad. So I am also curious as to what we're going to do as a city, as a mayor, as a city council, anybody, what we're going to do to improve this, because on just my block, there's 100 kids. Like, we have so many kids in this neighborhood, it's outrageous. And they're going to be teens soon, and then they're going to also be in a situation where they're going to be guided or influenced by that direction. And I feel like we need more, you know? So I also feel like this is a big deal.
I'm going to throw in there, my daughter died by suicide. And that's a hot topic for me because I understand what these kids need. And it's more future growth. A lot of it is parents. We need to parents that are willing to put that time into the kids. But it's also getting your kids to see the future, not the crap that's in the moment. But go ahead, Donna.
Okay, yeah. I think that we certainly need more opportunities for youth to lead out. We have a youth council. Angeline is an amazing group leader of that, and they do a lot, and we need to grow that program. Back in the day when that first started, we had like 20, 30, sometimes even 40 kids involved, and right now I feel like it's like maybe 7, and we're bigger, and we have way more teens, and I think that we need to be reaching out, figuring out how to grow that program in a positive way, giving youth more opportunities for leadership, more opportunities to grow and learn. I think kids need to have important things to do, and I think that the Youth Council could lead out on an anti-bullying campaign throughout our city. That's a huge issue right now and a huge concern for me. I've watched it, and like you say, we can build parks, and we did. We built Smith Ranch Park specifically for teens, specifically to give them something to do, and what they are doing is destroying Smith Ranch Park. And we need to figure out how to make it so that there's something to do without creating problems that go along with that. And so, like, we've put up cameras at the park just to try and cut down on the bad behavior, so that those youth, when they get together, they can feel safe. It's not fun to come to Smith Ranch Park when you feel like it's going to be fight night that night or whatever is going on, and so we need to be better about that. I would love to see our youth participate in with our county sheriff's department, doing things with them. I just think there's a lot more we could be doing. We used to have this young community with tons of tot lots, but we have a lot of teenagers. We need to do something.
unmuted while she spoke.
Yeah, we're good now. Okay. And it's not a slight to parents. They're doing what they have to keep the lights on. But there are kids that are falling through the cracks that are not getting the amount of attention and things that they need. And so my plan is to start activities for them, weekly mentorship programs on the weekends, and then that'll allow the parents to have a little bit of free time to go out on a date or something too. And just a lot of positive things that we can do. We can do dances, we can do activities, we can teach the kids how to do taxes. And like, I've had a lot of people online criticize me that I need to grow up, that I'm immature, but I'll say in this category it's a strength. I can connect with those teenagers and I can help them a lot. I think that's one of the talents that I have.
All right, so when I first started serving in the city, I served on Parks and Rec, and I remember we had all these issues where there were kids who were skateboarding around different private property, businesses, churches, and the businesses and the churches started putting up signs saying no more skateboarding. And then I remember being in the parking lot of a church at one point and asking the kids, I'm like, hey, why don't you guys go skate at the skate park? And they were like, it's too far away. And I said, okay, tell me more. And I think government's not going to solve this problem. But one of the most important things that we can do is help kids feel safe and know that there are adults that love them and actually care and think that their voices matter. I love that kids, are you saying that they come and hang out at your house?
Yeah, they came like one night and then they kept coming back just to check in and say hi.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them on my front porch at midnight than like out in the bedroom.
Right.
So.
And I think that we need more of that in our community where there are homes where it's like, yeah, come over. I think that a lot of ways kids get ostracized and they don't feel like they will ever measure up to the expectations that adults have for them. I'm going to quick rattle off a few things that I would like to see us do. One, obviously we need to grow youth council. Two, we need to work with our school board members and our junior highs especially and get a Boys and Girls Club program brought into the schools. They already exist. It's pretty turnkey. We could have one by the time we go back to school if we really put our minds to it. We have a junior chamber program and a junior shop fest program that help give kids an opportunity to be entrepreneurs. And I also think that we need to do a better job at speaking on the level where the kids are. So if that's Instagram, if it's TikTok, whatever it is, we do a lot of really cool things, but we're not getting the word out about what's going on. And we just, at the bottom line, need to start loving the kids more and help them know that we're safe adults.
I'm going to come back to where I started, less talk, more action. For 30 years I've been involved in the youth programs. I've been on the youth council as an advisor at the city level, and I think we can do more. But I want you to know that the people, those kids, and they're now in their 20s, are still coming to my house and hanging out. And they're still stopping by. And I'm not up here talking about it, I'm doing it. And I think that's something I'm super proud of. I can tell you, rather than sit here and tell you the things that I wish we could do or that we should do and that never come to fruition, I can tell you that last summer, twice a month, that thanks to Angelie, with my help, we put on dances for the teenagers.
Woo-woo.
And last Saturday, we had over 500 people at the rodeo grounds dancing and doing line dancing. It's not stuff that I talk about, it's stuff that I do. I mentor a lot of kids. I've had some of those high school kids that stay at my house just to show how vested I am. My wife has 2 degrees in social work. She was a counselor at the high school. We're currently putting on a youth camp that we've been doing. It's actually in Orem, but we've had some at our house as well. Literally, the youth is something that I'm very concerned about and something that I don't sit here and have concerns about. I take action, and I do. So I just want you to know I share your concern, and I'm here doing things to help the kids. The events, I've talked about Christmas tree lightings. I've talked about the 4th of July stuff that I brought back. Some of the stuff that the rodeos and the derbies and the stuff that I'm involved in. I'm not a guy that's going to talk about it. I'm a guy that's going to have action and give them things to do. And we need to promote some of those other programs as well. So thanks for the question. Thanks for what you do. And continue to do that. I think we all need to be better and mentor these youth. And I was going to say thank you for what you do. Number one on the youth council, but if I was to start the question, I would have said it, we should just have you talk about it because you know every aspect of what happened, of course, with your family, but then you're also taking action, so I appreciate that. Perfect timing. 1 second to spare.
You paused it at 1 second, but
Yeah.
Keep that. Any other questions? Oh, over here. You guys want to come over close to the computer?
I'll allow it. It was
Yes.
good.
They can't hear very well, so you gotta be close.
If it's a short question, I'll repeat it. If it's a long one,
I could even.
That's okay, as long as you guys think I'm being too cool.
She's got her shades.
Can you hear me?
Here, let me bring this over
They
to
won't
you.
hear you on the computer.
Yeah, you gotta use the mic.
I'm just gonna.
Okay.
she's coming. It's too late. You have to. They can't hear you online.
Oh, okay.
If it's a short question, I would have repeated it.
Well, I live in Eagle Mountain for 2 years and a half. I moved from California. I lived in California for 35 years. I see a lot of changes in how I came to a beautiful California. Now it's changed completely. So my question is for the things that is coming right now in the city. I've been for 2 years and a half. I've been see a lot of things changing. Like one of the things is the congestion and the traffic, and a lot of new houses everywhere, and there's no roads. There's no way how to make it, easy. You take home, maybe take an hour in the Pony Express and another street, and it's hard to get home. So, and then the other thing is, I noticed there's a lot of business are coming. A lot of elites are coming because we have Facebook here, a building. Google is coming, and it's coming. I've been hearing about a news there about Eagle Mountain. They're trying to make Eagle Mountain like a new Silicon Valley city, So that means other elites are gonna come and build their business here, because Utah is gonna become as a model for all the states, the 50 states, as a #1 states, because it's the only states that knows how to solve the problems with homeless, and then their budget. They keep their budgets, they regulate their budget really well, which other states don't have what we have. So Utah is gonna keep changing. And I wanna ask the future mayor, what he's gonna do with the plans to bring all those elites coming, all the nuclear plants they're gonna be building in this city, because we need to protect our children if something happens. I know there's a lot of talking about that, and we should see what is those changes are coming for our city. It's going to be good for our children, for our future, not just for the convenience of growing as a business and then get more revenue for the city. We need to think more about how we can protect the children in our homes, in our family, and what we can do for that. So I try to everybody know what's happening, and I'm glad one of my neighbors are here too. So that's why I want to know, what is your plan? How are you going to approach? What are you going to do? Do you have access as a mayor to do something with what's happening in the street, with the congestion that is happening, with building apartments over here, houses over here? There's not going to be any place to walk or hiking anymore. So what is your approach? I don't know how much responsibilities the mayor has when something is growing. And remember, Utah is going to be changed. If we don't pay attention right now, that I know, it's even the White House is taking people that work in our state, they're taking like the health department from us, or legislators that is in charge in health department, they're going to the White House and let them know how Utah is managed, all their system in here. So we need to know what's happening, and we need to know what we can do so we can keep what really make us as a state #1 in the whole United States.
Thank you.
On my first.
Yep.
Is that the
Might as well.
You're in the bull ring.
So is it fair if I restate the question? You tell me if this is what you're looking for. And by the way, do you speak Spanish?
Yes.
También hablas español y mi esposa también. Y creo que también Donna, pero no sabe, pero
Yo también.
y también él habla español. No, yo no sabe.
Sí, por supuesto.
Bueno. Entonces, to restate your question, is it you're curious about growth and transportation? Is that fair? Those two things?
Yeah, I'm kind of, they're growing. It's growing fast. And Eagle Mountain is growing really fast in the beginning.
Okay, so how can we control the growth and the transportation? Is that what you want us to address?
Yeah, and about the nuclear plants they're planning to put in Eagle.
And nuclear power.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 3 issues here that we have to get out in 2 minutes.
That should be a 3-minute question.
It's paused because we're
Yeah, I want to make sure that we all have.
we're trying to digest what's going on.
Yeah, so 2 minutes or 3 minutes? There's 3 parts to this question.
That's a big question.
Yeah, let's do 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Okay, so I want to start with nuclear power, and I want to first tell everybody that there is no nuclear power approved at this point. We're still waiting at the federal level and the state level for approvals, and once that happens, my personal belief is that nuclear power, I've studied this extensively, is the cleanest and most efficient power that's out there. I think there's a lot to learn, and I absolutely will not risk our citizens' safety for nuclear power. However, what I've studied, I believe that it is safe and that we can put measures in place that can keep it safe. So there's still a lot to learn, and we're still a long ways off from that. So I don't want to dwell on that. The second thing is growth, something that I want to focus on. Again, not what I talk about, but what I've done. I started on Planning Commission in somewhere around 17, 18. I'm not 100% sure. But I continued to hear those that were on the council say our hands are tied, it meets the code, there's nothing I can do, and continue to approve developments that I said we've got to slow this down. I was able to say, well, if the code's if we can't slow it down by using the code, then we need to change the code. I didn't wait for staff, I didn't ask somebody else to change that. Myself, Rich Wood, and Brett Wright sat down and completely rewrote our zoning code. That we believe, this was Rich's numbers last night, the projections, Eagle Mountain was projected to have 350,000 residents at full build out. At this point, it's somewhere between 125 and 150,000, simply from changing the code. I didn't wait for that to happen. I made that happen. Rich Wood made that happen. We put it forward to the council. Of course, they agreed. It was a great code. They continued to tell us our hands were tied until we showed them, then legislate. And let's make this change and make it happen. With Firefly, development that was approved in 2009 and amended in 2012, I believe, right? Some of those, anyway, not important. They were approved for 9,600 units. I'm going to give credit for this one to Brett that we also helped with, but we got it down to around 8,300 units, 8,600 units. We are not, I'm not going to sit back and say it's okay to continue growing at that rate. I'm going to change some things that will in turn affect how we grow. And I'm not saying I'm going to, I'm saying I did. That's already done. So that's the effect that I've had on council, and that's the effect I'll continue to have as a mayor. And the third question, how much time do I have? I can't see. Oh, there it is.
35.
And the third question was roads. I built roads for a living. That's what I've also done for 30 years. And for instance, Mid-Valley Road. I didn't have the vision of Mid-Valley Road in the beginning. It was, again, probably Brett and a little bit of Rich. Once I caught that vision, I didn't sit back and wait for it to happen. I've been meeting with our state leaders and our lobbyists to get that changed to a state designation. That's already moving forward. That's crucial to our transportation. The mayor already talked about, Tom talked about the expansion, $1.4 billion going into our other roads that will help that. But there's more we can do. So I just want, and I can talk more about that later if you want, but brief overview of each. You next.
Yeah. Okay, so the nuclear topic, I think that the people should be involved in that conversation. A lot's been said about doing a lot of talking, but I think even more important than the talking is the listening. And we, as your elected officials, need to spend time listening, and that's something I'm especially good at. So when it came to the power issue, I started listening to the people who had concerns. I started talking to people who are in the field and realized that this is a lot of information for us to process, and it needs to be something that we do safely, and we need to be a part of the conversation instead of just waiting for it to come and happen to us. I'm going to move on to what we're going to do to manage growth and all of those things. One of the things that I've done professionally, I run the Chamber of Commerce in our city. And I spent a lot of time talking to businesses and people who are trying to make a business work. And some of the things that I hear from them are, it's really hard to get employees, it's really hard to get to these resources, I can't go and do all of these things. And 4 years ago, when we were in a debate, I listed off a bunch of stuff that we were asked, what should you be doing about economic development to help with growth and to spur on business? And I said we should have our incubator again, we should have classes for our businesses, we should, and I said all of those things, and I went forward and I did them. So not serving on council, not serving as mayor, but as someone in the community that took a job, I've created a business resource center for our businesses here in Eagle Mountain. I raised almost $500,000 to be able to fund that and to have places for our businesses to get started. One of the only ways we'll ever be able to tackle transportation is to have more jobs here in our community. And that isn't just kowtowing to major corporations. That's looking for the little small businesses in our community that are ready to explode and grow. There's some amazing success stories here in Eagle Mountain that started with one person in a garage or two people in a basement, and now they have 127 employees. So we talk a lot, but most importantly, I've been listening, and the way that I've become an expert about those things is by listening to our people that are boots on the ground, that are trying to make businesses work here. And then we talk about roads. One thing that I am right now working on with Commissioner Skylar Beltran, Councilman Chris Karn, and UTA is figuring out a local loop bus. We talked a lot about the kids and how they just don't have anything. If we have a bus that just circles from Eagle Mountain into Saratoga Springs and Eagle Mountain into Saratoga Springs and then Saratoga into Lehigh, where it's just local, it's not all the problems from Salt Lake, but we do that so these kids can get to jobs and have purpose and get to MTech and some of those other things that we just don't have out here, that is going to be a game changer for us. In the process of working to make that happen, we are working on having microtransit, which is a game changer too. It's something that gets people from point A to point B and helps them when they don't have transportation, getting people off the roads.
Start it. Okay, so I'll tackle the growth aspect first. It's been said, and it's true, that the city doesn't have a lot of power. A lot of times it's landowners and what it's zoned for. But the power that we do have is when it comes to the zoning. And on Tuesday night, I heard residents complain about a developer that came in and promised certain things and didn't deliver, and then they forgot something in their MDA, and then so we were going back for a rezone. And the first thing we can do is we can start holding these developers accountable to make sure that they're doing what they're promising to do, bringing the things that they say they will, and don't reward them with the rezone to build another house at the end of it when they don't get it right. There's no reason they couldn't have just left it open space and forced the developer to sell it off. I'm sure that the people that lived adjacent to that lot would have bought it and had bigger yards and been happy about that. But instead they were rewarded with another lot and more profits. So I think we really need to hold developers accountable when they do develop this area. Another thing we'll talk about is the nuclear. I am not supportive of nuclear whatsoever in residential area. I don't care how safe you say the technology is. I know very well about a place called Dugway out in the West Desert. It is a secured military base. The state is very supportive of nuclear power. They can build a nuclear reactor out there where it can be secured away from residences, and they can build power lines to truck that energy for people to use. There's no reason why we need it to be here in our residential area, and I'll bring some of my military viewpoints in on that. If we get into a fist fight with Iran, somebody who has ballistic missiles, they're going to hit key infrastructure first. So they're going to hit the NSA building, so we already have a target on our back there. They're going to hit that. And then if we have a nuclear reactor in our community, where are they going to bomb after the NSA building? So I think it just makes sense to keep some of those key infrastructures safe and secure. What was the third thing? The roads. So I actually proposed something called the Eagle Mountain Highway before I even knew about the Mid-Valley Road, because I'm naive and I didn't know, but that's the only place you could build another highway. The problem is the Mid-Valley Road is going to be an auxiliary road, 2-lane road. It'll help a little bit, but it's not even going to be completed until 2048. We need a highway. We don't have the resources to build it ourselves. We need state and federal level grants and help to be able to build something of that scope, because the drop down in Saratoga is a significant elevation change. So it's going to be $1 billion project, not million. And so one of my talents is holding people accountable. I am not afraid to go to the state and say, hey, you want growth out here? Then we need infrastructure. And we're not going to play around about that. We're not going to have 30-minute commutes to get to work so more people can live out here. We're going to do what makes sense for our residents first.
I want to ask a quick question
Sure.
on that. How are you going to balance pissing people off and making nice and relationships?
So I promise I will always use the carrot first, but if we're getting ignored, I have no problem calling people out. Everybody that knows a little bit about me knows about the little pissing match me and Governor Cox are having right now because he mandated something unlawful. So I'm not afraid to stand up for myself or this community if they're not doing what they're supposed to.
But would that not cause more issues in the future, relationships between our city and other cities and states?
It's an 8-year term and he'll be out of there soon, so we'll
It's
have
not,
turnover.
I mean, not him, but other governmental people and other.
Well, that's part of what
um,
I'm trying to root out is this culture of politics in Utah where you got to be in the in club. People are tired of it. You know, we need to start doing what makes sense for the citizens instead of.
But there also needs to be a built-in relationship with other communities, other cities, and we can't block them out and become enemies, right? And so you
Right.
have to be able. Do you have the ability to work with other people,
Oh,
even if
absolutely.
they don't do what you
Absolutely.
ask of them?
Can I have a 10 to 30 second rebuttal?
Yes.
Well, hold on, because there's other candidates. I want to hear what they have to say.
Well, I want to rebuttal what was said, and they'll have their chance. So first of all, I want to rebuttal that nobody said residential area. We're not bringing it to a residential area. In fact, the discussions, I mentioned that we're way far out waiting for the state and the federal government. There's talks right now about Intermountain Power Plant down in the desert by Delta, and also energy solutions with transmission lines. Nobody said that nuclear power was going to go in a residentially zoned area. That doesn't mean it couldn't go way south of town. But you mentioned residential
that's
zone,
what I
and
mean.
that's
Yeah.
that's absolutely.
I mean,
not
anywhere
even-
close to homes, and
Yeah,
so
it's not
I
even-
want it out in Dugway where there's
Not even
no
it's
homes
not
for
even a
miles and miles.
consideration. So
All right, Donna.
Sorry, just it always takes me a second to undo that. So I want to talk about relationships because I think that it's really important. So I have been serving with the Utah League of Cities and Towns on a committee called the Commission for Affordable Housing Advisory Group, long title. Basically what it does is we talk about the things that the state is trying to mandate to cities. For example, this past year, one of them that I went toe-to-toe with the developer on was, well, actually with a state legislator who happens to, anyway, they're almost all developers. He wanted to take any land that was zoned in the city commercial or industrial and say you can build houses on it. And I think it was up to between 6 to 8 units per acre. So that's it sounds like not a lot, but it actually is. Also upzoning. They want to upzone everything. So if you're saying everything in this area has to be 1 acre, which we have subdivisions like that. We have areas that are zoned like that because we want that variety. They'll take that away from us. That's what they're trying to do. And so I've been fighting that fight for quite a while and have been effective in speaking with legislators and getting things changed in their legislation. And I'm not afraid to do that. And I can do it in a diplomatic way. I have a degree in international relations. That's what I studied, is how to be diplomatic, how to get what you need done without creating all your enemies. One of the things that in terms of traffic and roads, I remember Jefferson Moss told me if we want to get anything done in Eagle Mountain, we have to get Lehigh and Saratoga Springs with us. And we worked on that. And so now we meet with them quarterly, working on transportation plans. And boy, is it hard because no one agrees. But we're doing that hard work. So we are working on transportation. I am working to stop those mandates that don't make sense. Eagle Mountain is nowhere near the I-15 corridor. These one-size-fit-all mandates that come from the state make it extremely difficult for cities like us that don't have the road infrastructure that we need. And I know everyone wants us to stop growth, but the state won't let us put a moratorium on building because we don't have enough roads. Now, if our sewer were to go out, we could, but only for 6 months while we fix the sewer. So we can't put a moratorium on roads. That would be a great thing. I think all of us would want to do it if we could, but the state, they won't let us do that. And we do serve at the mercy of the state. The state can take over whatever they want in terms, it's very different from state role to federal government. The state does have the right to control what we do as a city.
Now, Tom?
All right, I want to try something real fast.
What
Tom?
was the question? Okay.
Oh, the question? There's like 3 things as questions.
Housing, nuclear, and roads. Traffic, more specific.
It was growth.
Growth.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
in-
Growth, traffic, and nuclear. How's that? Worded better?
Sure. What's that?
Yeah, do you have,
I didn't hear a
Tom.
on nuclear at all.
She ran out of time.
It's a long question.
It's a lot.
Well, it was 5 questions.
Okay, did you see the text?
Yes. Let me double check it.
I set it up here.
Question: housing, nuclear, traffic.
Let's see, but make sure it gets to him though.
So they're saying that the housing is getting really intense, obviously, as we all know. And then nuclear being an option for energy, and traffic and roads. It's a long question.
It's a lot to take on, but let's give it a shot here. So, one of the ways that I like to test myself, if you will, to check to see if my thinking is on track, is I try to see Eagle Mountain through the eyes of youth growing up here. What do they see? What do they experience? And what do they feel? Do they feel safe? Do they feel like there's opportunity for growth and learning and engagement and just to feel important? So one of the things that I believe is a big contributor of that, and one of the things that's been an ongoing discussion. In fact, in my first campaign, open space was a real concern, and so I set out to preserve as much open space as we possibly could, and so we created we created code, we created zoning to preserve the ridge tops, the areas around the washes, and some of the slopes, so that all those hilltops, those mountaintops, those sensitive areas and areas that the deer use to migrate, that was protected, because that's got to be important, because whatever happens in the future, I like to think of Eagle Mountain as a city with growing charisma and influence, and the nicer we make it, the more people are going to want to live here. But what we have to do is preserve the open space as we move forward and as we plan, because once that's gone, it's gone. And I think it's really important for our youth to have that, to be able to camp, to bike, to hike, to learn how to manage open space and manage wildlife, and to be engaged with nature, understand how nature functions, and how, farming to whatever degree we can. Okay. On the other side of that, you've got to have opportunity for growth and education and employment. If families are stressed out because of income and because of rising costs, if there isn't opportunity, a sense of opportunity for the future, that's not going to be a healthy place for our kids to grow up. And so I want them rubbing shoulders with people that are really changing the world in technology and learning and combining agriculture and technology, and have
20
opportunities
seconds.
and a bright vision for the future. So as we do that, Eagle Mountain has growing influence and growing charisma throughout the state, and that's why we're able to secure finally those funding dollars. So I think I hit most of that.
Time up. You're good.
Can we ask him specifically about
What?
nuclear?
Maybe
Yep.
we should just have that question
That's my
stand
question, so if I
alone.
can ask my question.
Yeah,
that
let's
would
have
be
a
just-
standalone.
Yeah, the nuclear's a standalone for sure.
Is he still on there? Or did he hang up?
No, he hung up.
All right.
Do you want me to ask?
Let's
Can I ask a question?
Donna hasn't
Is
started
it a low
yet. Do you want to
battery?
start with
Because I
Donna?
saw a low battery thing come
It's
up.
always a low battery.
Okay.
It says,
Because it will lose him completely if you have a low battery.
I've got 19%. We're
Okay.
good.
it says sometimes slow
It's an
connection.
iPhone, Nathan. They last
On the very bottom,
longer.
it says slow connection.
Donna, we're gonna start with you.
And is the question just nuclear? Because
Yeah.
There's another hand too.
so I'm waiting.
If you want to come here, then they can see you. And then...
Hi. So my
Okay.
question is, if you were mayor and anyone, whether it be the state, a business, anyone, proposed the idea of building nuclear reactors within city limits or near the city, what would you do? Would you support it? Would you be against it, and why? And what would you do with the waste? Because in my research, currently all the nuclear waste is stored where it's generated, and that means the waste would be exposing our citizens. And who would bear the cost? Who would be paying for it, and how? And how long would they be paying for it? And would we end up bearing the cost after 20 years? And why did the city want to build nuclear reactors in the city limits? And was it for the data centers? I just would like those questions answered.
Okay. So the state of Utah is in trouble in terms of power. Rocky Mountain Power has not been forward thinking in their planning. They did not realize, I guess, that everybody would want a computer in their home and they would want air conditioning and all the things that, you know, that people need. And then in addition to that, AI has put a huge pressure on companies like Meta and Amazon and all of those that have data centers. So yes, data centers are pulling more power for sure. That is a part of that. So my issue is, if the data centers need the power, then that goes on them, not on our residents. However, our residents would benefit from producing power because we get a tax on that power. So that would go to the city coffers, which would help with our budget. So there are some benefits to it. I do support nuclear, and I have a very personal reason for it. My daughter has asthma. She was very, very ill when we lived in Orem and Provo, to the point where she was using her nebulizer every day. We moved to Eagle Mountain, brought her nebulizer with her. She used it once, and then she never had to use it again the whole time that she lived in Eagle Mountain, because the air is so much better here. We're above the inversion, and I don't want to change that. And unfortunately, the only way that we're going to get power that's clean is through nuclear. We are already using the solar. We're already trying other things, and I will look at anything that's clean. I will be honest, whatever we can find, thermal power, we're looking at all of the different things that we can come up with to try and find solutions. I'm not saying nuclear is the only solution, but we need to be looking for clean solutions, because I don't want to destroy this valley with a bunch of gas-fired plants.
Duncan?
Sure. Probably
Is it
won't need
unmuted?
all 3 minutes.
No,
You don't have to
muted
use
the
it.
Okay, so
person.
she did talk about financing, where that money was going to come from for the waste, because I feel like that wasn't really answered. And then what else, Joy, did you mention?
Why did the city want to put it in the city limits?
Yeah,
what would happen to the waste, and how would you vote? Or would you be for it or against it? Would you?
Yeah. So I'd definitely be against it. I wouldn't want one in city limits or anywhere nearby, like I said before, at all. So that resolves the issues of, storing the waste and financing it too. Like I said, we have a vast secured military base out in Dugway. If the state is serious about wanting to resolve our energy issues, I encourage them to look at that as a possible venue for a nuclear reactor. I definitely believe in the science of nuclear, but do I want to be the guinea pig? No. I have a 6-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy, and so no, I would oppose it as far as I could. And if I was powerless to do anything, I'd resign as mayor and probably move, because that's how strongly I feel about it. I'm not going to put my children in a situation that could lead to cancer, and people will say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. I've talked to people that have lived near these reactors and their children have been diagnosed with cancer. And so it's not nothing. You can't just dismiss everybody's opinion just because you don't think the science lines up. So that's kind of my thoughts on the nuclear power. Yeah, only needed 1 minute.
Awesome. I'll take your extra 2 minutes.
No, I'm giving it to Jared because he has a bum voice.
So there's 2 realities that we learn as soon as you get into office is that, and this happened to us because we had a mine that came to the city and said, hey, we want to put a mine here. And we're like, no, you can't do that. That's pristine land. We don't want to. And guess what they did? The next week they went up to the state and they got the permit from the federal government and they put it right on the border of Eagle Mountain anyway. And all of the truck traffic, all of those things still impacted us. We still have the impact on our roads. So that leads to my second reality. Eagle Mountain didn't create the energy crisis that we have alone, and we shouldn't be expected to solve it on our own. It should be a conversation that we're having together as a nation and as a state and the people of our community. So if nuclear is the very best and there are reasons that we need to be concerned about it, then we should work to fix those reasons before we bring it in. If nuclear isn't the very best and geothermal's better, or wind, which it's not, everybody knows that, solar, all of these things, right? That's what we should be doing. And I've been in IPP down in Delta. My father-in-law was one of the people that helped build it. And that whole town was essentially built around this power plant. So, and there's Dugway, and there's all these other things. So let's sit down together at the table. Let's start thinking about what we can really do to prevent the dangers associated with all forms of energy and make sure that we have a voice when it comes to what's going on the state and federal level, period. I will say this. I really love Downton Abbey. Watch it all the time. And one of the things that's interesting about it is like when they first got electricity, it was like a really big deal. And the one person was like, that's like witchcraft and it's going to cause all of these things. And I'm not saying that is the case with nuclear, but it's been really interesting to watch the evolution as people were able to learn more about something, how they were able to solve some of the problems that the people in that era faced. Problems aren't solved by putting our heads in the sand. Problems are solved by people. The cure to diseases, the car, the telephone, all of those things were done by someone who was really smart, who worked with other really smart people to solve the problem. And that's what we need to do for our energy. We need to take the best people and put them in the same space. And we need to make sure that we have someone who's strong enough to have a voice at the table. And we need to make sure that we involve our residents in the decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I've already answered this question very frankly, so I want to demonstrate some leadership and go ahead and tackle it again. I'm not afraid of hard conversation, and I'm not afraid of speaking the truth. So the exact question was, I'm going to say it wrong, but the city, why did the city try to bring this here? I want you to hear loud and clear, we are the city, and the city has not tried to bring it here. That's a false statement. It is not coming here. I've mentioned over and over, there's red tape with the federal and state government that is not there. So you asked the question and promoted the idea that we've been trying to do this. Now, I want to jump to the second part of it, and it's just false. So I want to make sure that's, if they'll pause my time.
No.
And you
No,
said
just wait.
you guys
Wait.
suggested it to them that it came from the city, and you
Yeah.
said that in a meeting, so that's where I'm getting it from.
Okay.
I'm not just lying.
I think what she means is that there was a regulation that was
About to be changed.
Nuclear.
Okay, so I'll address that.
Zoning was about to be
So,
changed
so,
to
the,
allow
so the
it.
question was, there was a regulation brought forward. Our staff tried to bring us a code that said, if this was to happen, we want to get ahead of it to address this so that we're not forced to do something when the red tape is cut. And our council, representing us as a city, said we're not ready to move forward with that. So again, squashed. It didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Now, the rest of your question was, would I support that if I was the mayor? I've already said it's the cleanest form of energy. I've already mentioned that it could be possible on the outskirts, possibly Energy Solutions or in Delta at IPP. They've already looked at that. I'm not, I'm going to say this. There's a lot to learn, and I'm not an expert yet. I feel like I've studied it as much as anyone. So I don't know the answer. I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to people and say that I know exactly what it's going to be. I'm going to tell you that I would study it, and I would make educated decisions, and that's how I would approach that. Now on the financial side of that, power and data centers, so the rest of the question was, did we do this just for the data center? Well, first of all, we didn't do it. I'm going to address that again. And secondly, data centers are absolutely cash cows that our city needs, wants, and should pursue. So if there's any questions, I'm hoping that we can have some breakout groups when I think we end at 9. I'm happy to address those. We have done nothing specifically for data centers. We absolutely want data centers. We want to be good partners with them. They will absolutely bolster our economy to where we can afford to do things, where we can afford to not charge as much for some of our other services. Understanding that the water question already came up, that's an enterprise fund. You pay for what you use. But other things like recreation and general fund items, we're going to have so much. High schools, our high schools are going to have so much money they won't even know what to do with it. And I'm happy to address why we want data centers and how low of impact they are, and why I will support and help our data centers get the power problem. Power is, by the way, not a state problem. It's not a national problem. It's a world problem. And the leader in AI, the first one to figure out how to power our AI, which is very power thirsty, will be the world power. So we can't, as a nation, sit back on the power issue. And it's worldwide. Electric cars, phones, computer, everything we do is powered now by electricity, even more so in the last 5 years. So we can't take that lightly. I think Tom's the only one that...
Yeah, let me
I
call
ordered a
him.
new one today.
I want a fancier one.
I got a real bad one.
Hey, Tom.
Hello. Jared nailed it on a lot of great points there. Because what Eagle Mountain has done is taken the lead in the discussion, shown that we're not afraid to talk about it. And in that, we've taken the lead. And the great thing that's happened because we're not afraid to talk about it is we have a seat at the table at the state level and even the federal level. So we won't be left out of the discussion. We will have influence on how that looks. Now, I just spent time up at Idaho National Labs and Kimmerer, Wyoming, at the Natrium power plant there that's going in. Talked to a lot of people in the industry, some of the best minds involved in nuclear industry, and as has been said before by the others, is we're looking at every energy option, not just nuclear, but we feel like it's we wouldn't be responsible if we weren't talking about nuclear. Now, having talked to all of the best minds in the industry, I can tell you, we do not know where a nuclear power plant goes or what it looks like. All of that is still being figured out because we do want to do it right. We do want to be safe. But we do, at the same time, we must acknowledge that we have an energy crisis. And we need the energy for our own health and well-being, for our families, for our jobs, for our health, to move forward, for national security. So we have to figure this out. This is not going to go away. We can't wait for someone else to figure it out for us because, one, likely if we do that, we're probably not going to like what they come up with. But this way, we can stay engaged and be involved in that decision making and make the right decisions. So as far as the waste, I don't see any reason why waste has to stay around here. There's no reason for that. Where a nuclear power plant might go, what it might look like, I do not know yet. But we're talking about that, and we'll continue to engage our residents. We will make sure you are involved. Some of you attended the panel discussion that we had. We hope to do more of similar and keep you involved and engaged.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.
All right, we've got a question here, and then a question back here.
Okay.
Okay, we do have
He's been waiting as well.
half hour, so we gotta be
And then you can ask
mindful-
them questions.
mindful
however you
of our
wanna ask.
questions and what's going to be the most effective questions right now because we've answered quite a bit. So can you
Yeah,
tell
we
me
can start with Tom if you want, so he's on the
Yeah.
line.
Well, I'm just going to talk about the nuclear.
Let's
we've
move
already-
on from it since we only have a half hour left, and we can maybe revisit it when we mingle for a little
No,
bit.
I want to talk, open it to everybody to hear. I will try to make it really fast.
Okay.
And if they make it fast,
All
I
right,
will be
Tom,
fast.
you just listen.
Okay. With the nuclear thing, we did not make it up. The city put out an agenda, and it was part of it. Okay. Our problem was that the only people that was going to be benefited by was the data companies.
It's not true.
Well, that's how we understood.
Let's
So
keep it.
It is. So, anyways, the city wanted to inform us, and we were good with that. So they got all their experts in the panel that they were pro, and they did not allow us to bring one expert that was supposedly against it, but that you have more information. So in order for the citizens to be informed, we really need to have both sides. Now, Mayor Tom, you promised there was going to be another one, and I don't know, it's taking way too long for another one. So what is the next mayor going to do as communicating if we, the citizens of Eagle Mountain, are not going to benefit directly? I mean, yes, you say taxes and all that stuff, but we don't feel it when it's taxes. We feel it when our bill for electricity is 20% less. So what are you, if you become a mayor, are going to do about that?
Well, I think we've already beat this one to death, personally.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay though. Let's answer this really quick. We're gonna
1
do
minute.
1 minute.
1 minute?
1 minute to answer a question.
1 minute to win it.
1 minute.
That big sigh.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, it's me?
Yep.
Surprise.
Okay. Yeah. No, we do need to have more discussion, and we're gathering more information, and so there will be opportunities to have all, we're not afraid of any questions or any discussion. If there's a concern, if there's a fear, we want to hear it. We want to address that. But this is nothing that we're rushing into. This is going to take some time. So as far as how it will impact residents, yeah, if my dreams are fulfilled, I mean, this will be one of the wealthiest cities in the state, and you will know the difference because, yeah, your taxes will be lower.
10 seconds.
Everything will be more affordable. Anyway, is my time up? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. 10 seconds.
3 seconds.
It is now.
Thanks, Tom.
Will be when
Yeah,
we're done with this
thanks,
sentence.
It will be when you're done with this sentence.
So Donna?
Okay.
Should we do Donna? Go ahead, Donna.
Okay.
1 minute.
So first of all, we did listen for, I think it was 2 hours to the gentleman that they referred to. Both Planning Commission and City Council had a combined meeting where that's the only person that spoke, and we did listen to that. So we are trying to do what we can. And I think there's a misunderstanding. Like Jared was talking about, we were trying to be proactive about how we would deal with this if it came. That doesn't mean the city is going to do it. That means, because we don't build houses either, but we pass ordinances to make it so that we can control that. That's the same thing that we were looking to do here, is how are we going to be safe? How are we going to make sure that this is the best thing? And I think really relying on experts who really know the industry is really important, and that's why we did that town hall. But I think we'll need to continue to get more and more information before any of this comes down. But we were just being proactive in terms of protecting our city, not building a nuclear facility. The city does not have that intention.
Thank you.
Almost
Jared,
sounds-
do you want to
Because
answer
if they
again, or do
agree,
you feel?
we could move on. So I just want to, I need to answer because you might have heard me say it's just not true when the question was asked, and Melissa leaned over and agreed that it's just not true. So here's the truth. I keep hearing it's only to benefit the data centers. Let me be clear. Your house has power. Do you want more power? You don't need more power. We're short right now almost 3 gigawatts in our city to power the data centers that we have approved. The entire state of Utah uses about a little over 4 gigawatts of power. That's a huge amount of power. So yes, do we need more power in our city to have economic impact and to benefit from it? Yes. Is it only to benefit data center? No, it goes onto the grid, but we need an additional 3 gigawatts, and your house has power. We also need additional power for the rest of the homes being built. But the ones that are already built don't need it. It does benefit the citizens. It benefits everybody. It's just plain true. It's not true to say that it's only for the data centers. It's for all of us. It's for the entire country. We're short on power, and so are the data centers, and so is everybody else. So it's untrue to say that it's only for the data centers. Okay. It's not true.
One thing that
it's for everybody.
I think a lot of rumors and myths have been dispelled, but one thing that no one has said is one way that we really could control what our power costs are is if we as a city had a power plant. And there are some cities like Lehigh and Linden that have these things, and it makes an incredible difference to their bottom line as a city. Is it expensive? Yes. But will the entities in our city use as much power as the rest of the state? Also yes. So as part of this whole conversation, we need to be looking at it together as a community saying, should we be getting into the power game so we're not subject to price hikes and paying the brunt for fighting fires in Oregon because of bad management and all of those other things. We can talk about that later. But that's one thing that I think we need to be aware of. And then the other thing that I think is really important for us to look at is we're not done yet. We have to have more conversations. We need to talk to more experts. We need to do more listening. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't have anything else to add to it since I'm against it, other than Dugway. So I'll speak in hypotheticals. So say we do build a nuclear reactor in this valley. I think the companies that want this type of power will see that the price of power is good and they'll come. And Jared will get his dream and we'll get tons of data centers out here and the city will be rich. But I want to ask the citizens if they have seen a significant increase in their quality of life since Facebook has shown up in 2018 or 2019 or not. I personally have not. We've been touting these infrastructure, championing infrastructure, saying they brought all this infrastructure. I've not felt it get to me. I've seen infrastructure go out to Facebook so they can drive back and forth and be connected to our sewer and water and power and all that good stuff. But I don't think drawing more data centers here is actually going to enrich our community whatsoever, even if it means we don't get as much money out of it.
Can we throw in the whole, if we have more bigger data centers, we have less houses and people living here?
Well, we do have a lot of land, though.
Well, and I think when the question's asked whether or not our lives are better or not, do you know how many stoplights we had before this? Do you know how many crosswalks we had before before Facebook?
I'm not a fan of more stoplights.
Well, that's fine, but we also need to get our kids to school safely, and we had to pay for them somehow. And the people who lived here for 20 years know the crap show it was to get kids to and from school in a safe way. So there's a lot of benefits, and I'm happy to discuss all of them with you later.
Yeah, we're getting heated, but I think we have time for 2 more questions, okay?
I don't think you need
This guy right here didn't get to ask, and he's had his hand up
he's been waiting to.
forever.
Do you want to come ask it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, do you mind if he asks it first?
It'll be very
I guess he's been waiting.
Save the best for
Sorry,
last.
John.
Sorry, we'll save you the best for last, yeah.
We'll come to Duncan. Please. Do you want to come a little bit closer so people can... Sure.
Okay, so my question is pretty simple. Seems like in this kind of discussions where, and by the way, I'm a CPA. I'm not a nuclear scientist, so I don't know anything about it. Right? But when it comes to situations like that, I feel like as American citizens, we probably shouldn't give so much power to the city to make these type of decisions. I think that's something that should be on the ballot. So my question to future Mr. or Mrs. Mayor is, what will you do so the citizens are more involved in this type of decisions that are so impactful to the entire community, not just decisions being made by a city council, which we support and we've elected, but we also want to make sure that they're not just making these impactful decisions by themselves behind closed doors and whatnot.
Amen.
Thank you. That's a good question. Tom, you want to answer that?
Sorry, guys.
Sure, and I think we've been doing a good job of that. I mean, that's why everyone is very aware of this situation, because we've been pushing this information out and encouraging our residents to be involved in the conversation. We're We're trying to get you the latest and the most thorough information that we can so that you can have it in your possession, so that you can study it as much as you would like and voice your opinion as much as you would like. So we're having these open discussions. That's the reason why we're talking about it now, because these decisions aren't being made behind closed doors. We're doing it right now, right? And so we're limited on the information, but as more information comes, and it seems like it comes almost daily, if not weekly, we'll continue to push that information out and make it available to you so that you can be involved in those discussions. And we are likely to have more town hall style meetings to address that. Is that sufficient?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Hang on. Yeah, I agree that a decision that's that big and affects all of us definitely needs to be on the ballot. Like, when you vote for one of us to be your mayor or your city councilor, you're not voting for us to make those type of life-altering decisions. And we've seen that there's people here that are very passionate about this subject. And we're talking, if it happens without their approval, they're gonna have to uproot and find a new place to live. And so I think things that are this important definitely need to be voted on directly by the citizens. I'll be honest, I don't know exactly how that works. I'm the outsider here, I'm still learning, but I agree with you completely that that would need to be a ballot item.
All right. There are some things within state law right now that we can put on the ballot, and there's some that can't. So before we could even just do that, we'd need to be working with our state legislators and figure out if that's something legally we can even pull off. But I really want to get to the heart of your question, which is involving the residents and what's going on. When I started on council, we did not live stream our meetings. We would record them on a phone or a camera and then upload them to YouTube several days later. I fought every single time that we had a meeting asking that we work to have live streaming, because how hard is it? Look at us now. We're Facebook living, we're doing all of these things. And I finally got that to happen. And that was huge, because I think our people deserve to know what's going on when it's happening, not after. The next thing we need to do is do a better job of being present in the community. We hear a lot about how people are going off and they're meeting with this person or that person, but who's answering your questions when you're pissed about something? Who's there coming to your business because something bad happened, or walking through your neighborhood with you? That's what we need to do for the people of our community. We need to let them actually have a voice, and not just a town hall every once in a while so we can check a box and say that we did. Time after time over the 6 years that I've been serving in city council, I've been there. I've had soda summits. Even during COVID, I would bring experts in and open it up to everyone in the community to ask that expert a question. So if there's anyone here that can bring you guys into the conversation, it's me, because I know what it feels like to not be heard. We need to change that in our community. We need to be different, and we have a chance to be that shining city on a hill that Reagan and the Pilgrims talked about. But we're only going to do it if we involve our people in our decision-making process.
Great answer. Great answer.
I know, I like hearing that. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Especially the first part. You know, I mean, I want to say, I actually thought Tom would just hit it out of the park and we'd just be done, because of the stuff that he talks a lot about with the forms of government and the constitutional republic and things like that. So I think the real answer to the question, just to stick to the question, is there are certain things that and I think we're talking in our city right now about a rap tax that will be on the ballot. It has to be. So there are things that need to be on the ballot. There are other things that we elect representation, and it's their job to do that. And it's your job to hold them accountable, and I expect that. I want to be held accountable. I want you to come and say, hey, you know, let's have these tough conversations. That's what I like. I love saying and defending the positions I take, and I also I want you guys to know something about me. I love saying, you know what, I messed that up. These guys have heard it a lot, because I've been, before my time on council, it was a lot less publicly controversial. I said when I came on, man, there was a lot of 4-1 votes or something, and I was the one. And they're like, oh man, are you offended by that? And I says, no, it's probably because I got it wrong. And I'm not afraid to admit when I get it wrong. And so I want you to hold us accountable. I want you to come say, you screwed this up, let's fix it, and I'll get right back in there, and I'll do my best to fix it. So, I mean, that's what my pledge is. And Melissa nailed it too. I mean, we need to involve you guys. Not my strength. I'm busy doing the work. I'm not the one out communicating all the time. I need to do better at that. But come to me. I'm happy to have those conversations. I just need to be better about the reaching out, you know. And hopefully I'm personable enough that you guys know you can reach out to me. But I like being in the trenches, getting the work done. So hold us accountable. Let's have those conversations, and we'll put on the ballot the things we can, and try to involve the community where we need to. That would be my pledge.
Donna?
Yeah, I just piggybacking on what they said, really, they've really covered it, but I think our residents need to be very involved in this decision. I mean, if we build a rec center, we got to ask you, unless we do like Lehigh did and sneak it through the back door, which not over my dead body would that happen. So, so with nuclear, if we were bonding for it in a particular way, yeah, we definitely have to bring it on the ballot. The issue is, what if it's a private entity doing it, which is what I think would be much more likely, or if the state is doing it, which is also a high likelihood. And in those cases, it would be very difficult to put something like that on the ballot. However, it is not difficult to involve residents in the process, let them know, educate them on where their advocacy will work. That's one of the most frustrating things I think for our residents, is they show up to a meeting and they find out it's already too late in the process to weigh in. We need to be explaining these processes to our residents so that they know where to go and who to talk to. For example, if the state's the one that's going to be pushing this, our state legislators are the ones we need to be talking to and sitting down with and emailing, and we can teach our residents how to do that in the most effective way because we've been doing it. We know how to do that. I just think involving our residents in every way that we can helps us. I mean, we have tons of great minds. Not one of us on the council is an expert on nuclear power. We just aren't, but we actually have nuclear power experts in the city. And so we need to rely on that, and we need to disseminate that information to our residents to help them to be more involved and to help them to help the city to make those kinds of decisions.
All right, where do I? Right here.
And try to get yourself in
Okay.
there.
Hi everybody. Thanks for sneaking me in. I want to genuinely thank each one of you for the service that you've done on the council or in the military or whatever. Like, thank you for what you've done. I know all of you lived in Eagle Mountain for a long time, and you do care. So I appreciate what you've done. I moved to Eagle Mountain in 2009. I'm the oldest in my family. We married, we're a young family, and most of you have lived here for a long time, and we are feeling less and less safe in the United States, Utah, and in Eagle Mountain. One of the things that makes me have pause staying in Eagle Mountain is crime, gangs, things like illegal immigration, and feeling transient a little bit, I suppose. So, one, what's your take on that? Two, is there a role as mayor and or city? I'd just like to hear a little more thoughts. I know you don't have a ton of time, but that is one thing that myself, my family, and other residents. What's your take on it? And yeah, is that? Yeah, I'd like
Can
to
we
see your
tack
take.
on there? Somebody also asked about a police force here.
Cool.
So throw
Anyways,
that on there too.
thank you 5 again. Yes, and for hosting.
Yeah.
Who's first?
Do you want to do Tom first?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
want.
Yeah. Okay. Tom, you want to tackle that one real quick? Would you, Tim?
He's quiet.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me turn you up. There you go.
Okay. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Is that good?
Yep.
Yes. Growing crime is a real concern. Now, I don't think. Let me just qualify that. I don't think our crime crime is growing at an abnormal rate. I think it's just the size of the city, the size of our population. But yeah, I too. I mean, I've had my cars broken into, and so I get it. I've experienced it firsthand, and so we can continue. This is one thing that's really interesting. So when it comes to number of patrolmen, one of the factors that we use is number of calls, right? So we can figure, can our law enforcement cover those calls? But maybe there are different measures to consider in that.
1 minute.
Okay. Wow. So definitely we can add more law enforcement. We can make that part of our even our emergency preparedness program. Our neighborhood watch programs, helping people to be more aware of what's going on around them, and being able to be proactive and knowing what to do under different circumstances. But those are some of the thoughts that come to mind. How am I doing on time?
30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. Hey, you know what? Can I just add one thing? Take advantage of this time to mention one more thing about nuclear. One of the things I've learned lately is just to put people's minds at rest. However nuclear comes to Utah, it will not come all in one big swoop. It will be in very small pieces. So we'll be able to see this move forward in sort of a granular manner. So don't feel like, one day this is just going to land. You'll see it in bits and pieces. Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Jared, you want to go? Okay, so I think the key really to the question, I want to talk more about the transient issue. That comes down to the housing. Donna mentioned, and I loved her plug. I didn't have time to mention the housing board she sits on at ULCT. I've also been very involved in housing. I've just been recently invited to be on that board, and Donna and I have talked about this, working together with the housing. I have a really good housing, especially affordable housing, because I know for our kids, it's going to get harder and harder to afford homes. So to avoid the transient problem, which will then help us with the crime problem, we need to have owner-occupied housing. We have way too many Black Rocks and things like that are coming in, buying up blocks of homes that cause the rentals and stuff like that. So me as mayor, I will continue with those efforts and de-restrict owner-occupied affordable housing and do what we can to curb the transient issue. The police force, I want to touch on that. I've been an advocate of creating our own police force. It's a lot of work and it's expensive. It's also expensive. There was a question on Facebook a couple days ago about how much we pay the sheriff's department. It's knocking on $8 million a year. Could we create our own department for that? We could maintain our own department for that. It costs a little bit more to get the infrastructure and the original costs. So I've been an advocate of that, but DJ's an opponent of mine against this. We can't start a police department until we start a city hall. We've got to get our city hall built, then we got to get our police department established, and then we can tackle some of that crime. And I think if we do that locally, I think that would put us ahead. So I'm an advocate of that. I think with calculated decisions, but I am a proponent of that. Yes.
Ooh, let me go next since he said my name.
Tell me. You can be wrong.
Did someone say Black Rock? Let's talk about no, just kidding.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah, I'm not supportive of our own police department. I'll agree with you that I see a lot of petty crime. But in terms of violent crime, I actually do feel very safe here. So we may not see that the same way. I do see a lot of cars getting broken into and people messing around at night and stuff like that. But in terms of violent crime, I feel very safe here. I am not supportive of starting a police department. I think we get excellent service from the Utah County Sheriff's Department. Maybe not so much in the traffic department, because I don't think they even want to deal with that. And so we have some issues there. But in terms of just law keeping, I think they do a fantastic job. As the mayor, I would lead the council in the direction of having a few more asks in that contract. So maybe a separate building so we can make use of our entire city hall for our employees that we have right now. But I would have every intention of trying to make that relationship work going forward, because I love the sheriff deputies out here, and I think they do a fantastic job.
I also love them.
Jared, were you for a police department or against?
For. He's for. And a new city hall.
But
and I'm not
things
for a new city hall.
Okay.
I'm against it. We don't have money for it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Do you want me to
I
go
disagree.
next, or do you want Donna to go?
Go for it.
Okay. The reality of it is, you guys, is West Valley City didn't wake up all of a sudden and be like, oh, we have crime. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, it was years in the making. It started with petty crimes. It started with these problems and things that people didn't take care of each other. Jared hit the nail on the head when he talked about the transient aspect of it. And that is one thing that we cannot afford to fail. We have to make sure that the housing that we have here isn't owned solely by a bunch of investors, because communities that are strong and stable are strong and stable because of the people who live there. Crime gets solved because people pay attention and report it. Community is the thing that's going to solve this. So we talk and laugh about things like Christmas trees and fireworks on the 4th of July, but we're not completely off the mark when we talk about those things. People stay in a community and care about a community when they feel like they're a part of it. So we need to make sure that we are building on these things as a community, but I don't think government should be paying for all of it. I think that there's businesses within our community that want to support that stuff. I think there's individual citizens, and I think there's a lot of volunteers that can help us make some of those things happen. Yes, there are some things that only government can do, but we're not tapping into the best resource we have, which are you guys. So when we talk about housing, one of the things that we need to make sure that we're doing correctly is having multiple product types. When we first moved here, where's the timer? Everybody was moving in and out of the neighborhoods, and we had to fight to get move-up housing. Now we have some of that. Now we need to fight to get little teeny tiny cottages so our kids have places to go when they move out of our house.
Donna, is this the last question?
You're good at that.
We have
Right to the very
one.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to find myself agreeing again with Councilmember Clark and on this issue. We're talking about crime. Eagle Mountain is one of the safest cities in Utah County. That's something that we can be proud of. And I know we talk a lot about West Valley City and how we don't want to be a West Valley City, and there's the concern, that it's all this multifamily housing, and it isn't. In West Valley City, the crime is in the single family housing areas, and the reason for that, I believe, is because a lot of it is rentals. Like we said, there isn't that sense of pride of ownership. There isn't. It's kind of lost their way there, and we're trying really hard to encourage through our ordinances, through whatever means that we can with the state allowing us to do, so that we can require that housing, especially in terms of affordable housing, that it can be owner occupied. It's a tough pull, but we can do that. And that's going to be the huge thing. And like Councilmember Clark said, the big need right now is for these starter homes, because the problem is we have what we used to consider starter homes, and no one's moving out of them because they can't afford anymore to move up. And so there isn't a place for our kids to live. And so if we want to provide that, we've got to find ways to work with developers to not build a 4,000 square foot home. They keep telling us, oh, the smaller the lot, it'll be great. It's the city's fault that they don't allow small lots. Well, we do allow small lots. It doesn't matter. A developer puts the biggest house they can on it. So what we need to do is work with developers who are willing to say, hey, I'll build a smaller house on a smaller lot, and I will make it owner occupied and affordable. And if they hit the affordable and the owner occupied, I'm willing to look at a smaller lot. Otherwise, it's not paying off for us because they're just building unaffordable houses on tiny lots.
All right, time's up. We're going to do a 1 minute kind of wrap up, say what you want to say, but there are a lot of comments on here that I want to ask real fast. It's mostly to Duncan.
So many.
So, Duncan, a lot of people are saying there's a lot of pissing matches between you and a lot of the citizens. How are you going to handle that as a mayor? How are you going to handle citizens? And
Hey,
It's pissing me.
can we not see this and answer those ourselves on the
Yeah,
what is
you can
posted?
Yeah,
do
that might be more fair to these guys.
I find
Okay.
I find that to be fun.
Okay. So 1
You
minute
can
wrap
read
up.
some
More
of
of
the
the same.
questions so
I'm
you
gonna get on there
recognize.
after this and do more of it.
More
That's
of
my
it.
answer.
If you could read the questions so we know what
Exposure
genre we'll
therapy.
get back
That's
to
what we
them.
call it.
Okay. So read them now or after you guys do your
No,
minute wrap
now
up?
I think so that we acknowledge that they've been asked and let us get back to them.
Okay, he's
Because
gonna
it
get
might
back
be part
to
of our
you.
wrap up.
Let's see.
There's got to be one from Chase,
There's a
right?
lot.
There's quite a few to you, but
Well, at least a highlight of what kind of question.
Just pick one.
there he says, "Oh, just pick one question
Yeah,
or read them all."
for Duncan, I mean.
Oh, it's that pissing match one. How are you gonna handle? How are you gonna problem solve with other people, other cities, other just people?
What were some of the other
and your
highlights?
Yeah, let's do some highlights here.
Clearly, he already told us. Face execution.
Yes.
Right, Duncan?
That's right. The camel's gonna eat you.
Sorry, some of these are kind of funny.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Spit on it.
Here, let me read some here.
You know what? The good thing is, this isn't the only Meet the Candidates we can have, so we can revisit some of those questions.
There's the city library
Donation.
Okay, so libraries one.
plan
what
for
else?
streets, stop signs. There's some right
We've
turn
addressed
lanes
that.
need to be put in so that people don't get
Improving the
stopped.
streets, which we already kind of answered. The proposed city center project.
We've pretty much addressed
There
that.
was one on your phone, Angela, that had
Yeah, my phone's dead. I can't read those.
yeah, future
Rachel, do you have those
homes
questions?
have solar panels.
Okay, she's got those questions.
Pre-built.
Okay.
But I would also, in your wrap up, love to know what you've done for the city, what you have.
There's not enough time in 1 minute to do that.
All
Do
right.
you guys want to say bye to Tom?
Hi, Tom.
Are we gonna let him
Give him his
finish?
1 minute.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Tom, do you want a 1 minute finish or what?
A minute to win it.
Say that again? Okay, yeah.
1 minute.
One,
wrap.
one minute wrap up.
Sorry, I wrapped up too quick.
Come closer over here.
Apologize.
1 minute.
Forgot about it.
Okay, 1 minute. Hey, thank you everyone for being here, allowing me, even though this has been a little glitchy with the technology, but it's always a pleasure talking about the city issues, about our future, and about how we can come together to make Eagle Mountain really the most special place to live in the state. And one of the things that's a little bit humorous from my perspective is I love these things we're talking about. These are such great issues. You know, compared to what this city used to talk about, this is great stuff. These are the right problems to have, if that's fair to say. I mean, it shows we're growing and we're maturing. We've come a long way. Eagle Mountain used to be kind of a bit of a joke. It was unrespected. It was unacknowledged.
Time.
Oh, okay. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, and I'm excited for the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
I'll let Donna go.
Yeah,
Donna,
'cause
you want to go?
She wants to go see.
You bet. Okay, so I just wanted to end with looking at the kind of leader you want, and I'm going to tell you that I'm not the only one that does this, because I think every single member of our city council does this. I'm going to give you an example. Jared and I went on a little hike. I brought my granddaughter. There was a question about a park. I was in my sandals, hiking through sagebrush and tumbleweed, and it was tricky. But when residents ask us to come out and look at something, we do. All of us do. And I can say that firmly and emphatically. That's what we do. That is what I will continue to do as mayor, and I will try to create a better atmosphere for our residents to also participate in our government in different ways, and to feel listened to, because I think that is one of the biggest frustrations is just this sense of, we show up to city council, we make a comment, what's the point?
Okay, well, so yeah, if you're interested in polite, I'm probably not your guy. I'm here to shake things up a little bit and bring some common sense back. If you're interested in a proven track record, you have 4 other candidates to choose from. But the argument I'll make to you is the deer that live in the Ochre Mountains have better transportation in and out of Eagle Mountain than we do, and that has to change. We are suffering as people. You're spending way too much time in traffic, and not all of that is their fault. I will acknowledge that. But I do think we can do more things to fight so that our daily lives are a little bit better, and I don't think that bringing a nuclear plant here or really big corporations is what's going to solve those issues for us. I think we need an identity. I think we all need to come together, and as soon as I'm done riling people up in the comments, we're going to unite and make this community one of the best in the whole state. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Duncan. I want to thank the other people who are running right now. They're all incredible people. Even though we disagree on some things, I'm grateful for all that you've done to serve our community. This guy right here and Councilmember Burnham. I just want to ask a question. Of the people that are sitting here right now, how many of you have called me or texted me or messaged me and asked me for your help with a problem? Out of the people who are here right now, whose neighborhood have I been to see what's going on? How many of you have had me in your business? That's the Melissa Clark that's running to be your next mayor. I started this journey because I was a resident that was mad and wanted something better for our community. And every single day since then, I've listened to you and I've done the work for you. I've showed up and I keep showing up. And even when I get beat up on Facebook, I answer the questions and I take
That was your time. You turned
what
off your timer.
needs to happen. I'm asking for your vote because you guys deserve leadership that listens and a mayor with a heart.
Good job. And I was going to say the same thing. I love going last. I appreciate those around me, those who have been in the fight that I've been able to work with, and I have much respect for those who are brave enough to put their name in and take these bullets, because it's not easy. And we do have to make decisions that are hard. I wanted to tell, especially all those online and all those that are here present, I have not got my yard signs yet, but if you do want a yard sign from me and you're one of my supporters, message me on there, or I'll leave a list out here and you're welcome to ask for a yard sign and I'll deliver those as soon as they get here. I also want you to check out my website that my son-in-law was awesome enough to create, because I'm not a web guy. It's Jared Gray 4 Mayor, the number 4, mayor.com. And again, appreciate all those that have come out and asked your hard questions and holding us accountable. So thank you for your time, and thank you to the others who have been brave enough to come and do this. So, and for those who hosted and all you guys have put this together.
Thank you.
Good job.